Hi there, and welcome back to the Bitcoin Bridge after a very short break. Today we're going back to China. We're going to talk to Lin Zheming from Dotwallet and Mempool about Dotwallet Pro, about Bitcoin tokens, and the all-elusive how to achieve mass adoption. He actually has some pretty good answers, so if you want to see them, check out the interview. See you later. Lin Zheming, welcome to the Bitcoin Bridge. How is everything over there?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Nice to meet you, John.
Yeah, I was just thinking before, you're probably one of the most prominent Bitcoin entrepreneurs over there in China. And I think this is the first time we've actually spoken more or less face to face.
Yeah, this is my first time to be on an interview broadcasted in English, I think.
Really? I'm sure I've seen you do English interviews before.
Yeah, but not like the long talk about some sort of subject. It's just a very several CoinGeek interview that is very short, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, only a couple of minutes,
Oh, well, nothing to
but we
worry about.
can take it a lot deeper.
Great.
Mhm.
Well, just for the people who haven't seen you before, can you just tell us your Bitcoin story? I know you've been around for a long time, but just how did you make that progression from BTC, BCH, BSV? Where did you start off?
Okay, so I start to learn Bitcoin. I start to get to know Bitcoin in about 2011. So that's pretty early
That's
stage,
very
but
early.
not so early that we. I think that is the first time when the concept of Bitcoin hit the mass media when the Bitcoin price surged to above $1, one US dollar. Yeah. And then I happen to have free time there, my gap year between jobs to learn a lot of Bitcoin. So I think Bitcoin is very, very promising technology that could change the world. So I at first I start Bitcoin mining using my own computer. Then I purchased a graphic card. So I'm a CPU miner at start, then GPU miner, and I have the
CPU miner. That's really old school.
booked the ASIC miner. Yeah. Okay, let me show you the maybe the first generation of Butterfly Labs ASIC miner, which is right next to me. This box is
That's
the first generation of
that's a piece
ASIC
of
miner.
history. Do you keep
Yeah,
that out of nostalgia, or I
I
take it that
keep
can't be used
it
for anything
like
now?
a souvenir maybe, and for the record of Bitcoin, early stage of Bitcoin mining.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then I after the Bitcoin era, I think in the 2016, yeah, 2016 and 2017. Between them, I started my company to try to take the advantage of the Bitcoin technology to build something like online games, like poker games, maybe.
Yeah.
At that time, the transaction fee goes up when the Bitcoin goes more adoption, right?
Yeah,
So
that killed so many good ideas and good
basically,
apps.
there is so many good ideas before 2015,
I
maybe.
know,
Yeah,
yeah.
2015. And I think, yeah, and after that, the high transaction fee kills almost all applications, and that leaves only several one like money laundering. They can afford such high price of transaction fees,
Mm.
and gambling, especially in the exchange part, because people just deficit. into the casino. And the casino means exchanges, right? So they gamble there. So I think that is maybe only two use cases that survive high transaction fee.
Because you only need to send your Bitcoins to an exchange one time. So it doesn't really matter if the transaction costs a lot.
Yes. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, like I used to pay very high fee to exchange Chinese yuan in Taobao into web money and use web money to change to Liberty Reserve, then that's it, to the Mount Gox to get my coins. So
yes.
it's relative very high fee, but not so high. It's acceptable, right? Several percentage of the percentage of the cost, but okay, but it will went to a very high level when the mass adoption comes, right?
Yeah.
So okay, comes the Bitcoin Cash. So I think Bitcoin Cash is lead by Bitmain, and they try to preserve the online scaling way of Bitcoin technology. But I do not go into Bitcoin Cash unless I know it got the support from the Craig and Kevin, right? So
similar here.
I when I first met Craig, it is through the introduction of my friend to his secret, maybe not so secret, Slack channel. That is called the BTC Talk, I think.
Right.
Yeah. Then I've read several articles, several transcript that describe Bitcoin protocol pretty well. That convinced me that maybe the theory, the Bitcoin theory here, is the right one, and I don't find any flaws here. Yeah, but maybe it is not perfect. It still needs us to trust in the game theory and in the greedy of every participant, right? But I think when the business grows, the greedy part of the humanity will play a very good part of the Bitcoin protocol and Bitcoin ecosystem.
It can be useful sometimes. Yeah.
I think that's just the story.
Yeah, well, the thing I like about BSV the most is that all of the interesting stories have come back again. Before 2017, writing the Bitcoin news was getting pretty boring because there was nothing to talk about. The fees were too high. A lot of people had stopped using it, and there wasn't anything to report on really except the price. And that to me is not really an interesting topic. So speaking of projects,
yeah, you're right.
So speaking of projects that have come back to Bitcoin, you're in charge of Dotwallet and also Mempool. So I think Dotwallet is pretty well known by now. That's I'd call that one of the big four wallets, along with Handcash, MoneyButton, RelayX, and I'm seeing it more and more as a login option for all the different services like Twitch. You've also got a platform called Dotwallet for developers. That's what I want to ask you about today. It's been around for a year now, I think, but you're either just about to release or have just released version 2.0. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. We are making progress there, but it is slower than expected because we do not have very good engineers on it. So we to pay the fees for our lessons.
Right. I'm surprised to hear anyone from China saying that you can't find good developers at the moment. Are they all working on other projects or just not available?
So this is kind of so So I will explain that. We have very good engineers, yes, but the cost of the engineer is as not so competitive than other than the other parts of the world. Maybe we have very good low level or mid level engineers, but not very. But the top engineers are the rarest resources all around the world, right? So,
Yeah.
and in China, there because of the policy issue, the Chinese government do not encourage the usage of uh, coins, right? They want the blockchain without coins, though I thought it is not possible or it is not the best way of doing it, but that will uh, that will stop very talented engineers to join the development of the Bitcoin SV. Oh, and for the education of Chinese engineers, they often do not have very good sense of business. But I'm not sure if it happens all around the world. But
I'm sure
if
it does.
they are focusing on their technology and without the knowledge of business, they may design some awful products that nobody will use. So I think it is pretty early stage. Right now, we can gather some people, some engineers together to create something for fun, but not very easy to get it profitable in the near future. But in the midterm or long term, I think the profitability may draw much more attention, and that could bring us a lot more resources.
If I can ask,
Yeah.
could you give me an estimate of how long do you think it's going to be before BSV is in the place that you would like it to be?
Mm, I think if we want to attract more business here, it might require maybe 2 or maybe 5 years to
Yeah.
build up because the needs from the enterprises, it is not for a protocol, for the Bitcoin protocol. The Bitcoin protocol is just like an internet protocol. It is the bare bone of the whole infrastructure, the bare bone of the whole IT system. But the needs need to be fitted using the complete IT system to make them take full advantage of the Bitcoin. It is not like you can put some record on the Bitcoin blockchain and make it a full featured um, product that could bring real value to our retailer customers, right? So it is still a long way to go, and our platform, the wallet for developers, is try to get on board more developers to develop the services that could be used by our clients, by the maybe by the customers ultimately.
So Dot Wallet
So
has
I
a
guess it will be more than 2 years.
yeah. It sounds like a good estimate to me. I think people get a little impatient sometimes when they see, the BTC and even BCH price shooting up and BSV not doing much, which is probably a result of it not trading on so many platforms. But yeah, sometimes it feels bad asking people to be patient, but that's really what you got to do, I think.
Yeah, patient cannot change everything, right? It is passive, no. I think it is passive. You need to wait a lot more time for the investment
Yeah.
to realize the real value. But I think there might be more things that we should consider. It's like what is the real Bitcoin? What could the real Bitcoin do? And the real value of the accounting, the bookkeeping could bring us. If you compare the Bitcoin token as a like common shitcoins or crypto coins, what is the main difference between them? So if you can't answer all these questions, I think it is not a very good way to call the token you bought as an investment. It's like a gambling, right?
Yeah.
So you gamble among different shitcoins. Yeah, you may win or you may lose.
Yeah, it's a lottery ticket. You really can't predict. And I don't like to encourage people to do that kind of thing either. In a way, I see where the Chinese regulators were coming from when they prevented all exchanges. That maybe it went a bit too far by stopping all of them, but it was getting overheated. I think they needed to do something before everyone lost their life savings just gambling on these tokens, and it was pretty crazy back then. Speaking of tokens, though, in the past month or so, we've seen a little mini token mania happening on BSV because Fabric and other platforms have made it quite easy for people to create their own tokens. I was looking in Dotwallet before, and your exchange platform there and your token swap platform there has a lot of tokens that I've never seen before. What's your opinion on some of the tokens people have created? Are you seeing useful ones, or are they mainly just fun projects?
I think it depends, right? So basically, I will consider our batch protocol, the Bitcoin token protocol, as a very early stage that can represent your own token system off chain into an on chain token solution. And okay, that could bring a little piece of add value onto the whole token system, but it will not be a game changer that could create a huge amount of needs or something like that. We just want to help the people who want to have their own token to be very easy to distribute, to make airdrops or to hand over their tokens to others. It is just for fun in the beginning, but
That's
when
true.
the application gets better, and they may find some ecosystem around their tokens, and eventually that will help a lot. I
How do
think
you?
it is not just to to purchase some token and get rich quick, some sort of
That's what
that.
so many people want to do, though.
Just consider that as, yeah, we cannot stop them, but I
Hmm.
would consider that as as the um, royalty points that I can give to my kid to encourage him to to do something, right?
Yeah,
The point here is that the cost of every transaction should be lower enough, right? So that we can take advantage of that low cost ledger usage. We can actually use Bitcoin token, right? Use the Bitcoin token as a ledger for bookkeeping, everything, to check everything. But basically, we cannot guarantee the token represent the real assets. But all we need here is to use Bitcoin ledger to replace original maybe paper-based ledger or uh, the not distributed ledger, which could record much more information in a fraction low cost. That could create value. Information exchanged to value, right? That is Bitcoin, data for bit and coin for value. And those
Exactly.
kind of transaction create the value for bookkeeping. Every transaction in a bookkeeping has sort of the information that contain the exchange itself, right? So when you purchase something, when you uh, click something, click a link or sort things like that, then the information that can produced by the activity of your daily usage. Then we can use a ledger as a personal source of data. Then it creates value. The Bitcoin, the value of Bitcoin is here that when we can create a system that allows us to use so low transaction fees, so low uh, fees to record on the ledger, then when the value of the ledger is much more than you pay for the transaction fees, then you are actually creating much more value. And then I think that promote more enterprises to use Bitcoin as their own ledger, then use the data preserved on the ledger to create much more value. When you can earn a lot by using the ledger, there is no reason you will not use it, right?
Exactly. Yes. Speaking of which, have you seen any activity or any gains in that area over there in China? Is there have you seen much outreach towards enterprise users or business users? People who are not really interested in trading or gambling or even money, but just data processing. Is there any of that kind of development going on over there?
Yeah, I think the info system developed in China is much handled by a lot of small software enterprises. But there is a lot gap between the Bitcoin protocol and their actual Bitcoin blockchain system. So
Right.
we are trying to migrate the effort to us so we can provide sort of APIs for them to write on the ledger with their own private keys. But still, we have a lot of things need to consider, right? That we have to we have to think more about how to preserve their how to better handle their private keys to build PKI for it.
Yep.
So after several infrastructure is finished, I think there will be much more easier adoption. But right now, like you need to rebuild nearly everything that they can use.
That's
It's just
right.
not
Yeah.
very easier.
I've seen you describe what you do as a Bitcoin as a service or BaaS. Is that what Dot Wallet for developers is?
Yes.
Right. Okay. How would you describe that to someone who
Okay, it is
is just coming to it for the
included.
first time?
I think it's part of our platform. So I will introduce the wallet for developers. So I will emphasize it a little more. We have several parts of it. Sort of some of the APIs and SDKs will help the uh, enterprise to interact with private key of the user. So we provide interface for them to better manage their own workflow, to gather payments or to write data or to assemble the smart contracts and take advantage of the Paymail or Big 270 or any other infrastructure here. Some of the APIs are provided by miners like MAPI mapping, and we can provide a lot of unique access to miners node that you can obtain it only through our API. not it is not provided by other miners. I think that might help a lot of developers, right? And there is a third part of the API is provided to traditional developers who knows a lot of APIs, or but they do not work on Bitcoin before, and they do not know much more about the cryptography. So we will help them to use the SDK and use the API for them to manipulate transactions, manipulate their data, but using their own private keys, right? But without touching the coin part. So basically, I can help them to make massive adoption. Imagine that you are not focusing the Bitcoin SV users for such a small part.
Yeah.
As a enterprise, you need to serve the world, right? To serve much more, that you can have the scale effect, so you can make profit. But you cannot limit your customers to the ones that have had their own coins. They have purchased it or exchanged it through other ways. That creates a lot of burden of onboarding new users. But if
yes, the old
you can
onboarding
create
problem.
real value for the bookkeeping, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm considering the bookkeeping, the transaction fees as the cost of the enterprise, not the customer. The customer can use your service. They can pay to use it, or they can choose to use it freely, right? But the cost remains. It should be paid either by the enterprises, or by the user, or by the miner. So we are the miner who can pay for the fees for the applications. Then the application can handle Bitcoin transaction without any fees. So we can settle our transaction fees later. But that does not break the Bitcoin economy, because in my opinion, we are paying other miners for acceptance of our transaction. It is not just zero fee transaction that can work around. They can be relayed to every miner. It is attached to miners. So we need to attach fees to make it acceptable by other nodes. That is the way how we can handle it. Yeah, but
sounds like a pretty good
through this
explanation of the model.
way, I think we solve the problem, right?
Yeah.
The onboarding problem.
There you go. Solve the onboarding problem. I think a lot of people would want to see that. Since we're coming to the end of this now, can you just tell everyone, where they can find Dotwallet for starters? I think it's actually in the Android and Apple app stores, Dotwallet Pro, if people just want to try out the wallet.
Dotwallet, yes.
Yeah, Dotwallet. And
you can just search for Dotwallet.
Yeah. And if people want
we have our website. You can use developers.dotwallet.com or dotwallet.pro. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I hope some developers out there are watching this and they're going to get in touch with you very soon, and you can find some of those engineers that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Lin.
It's promising.
Thanks a lot for coming on the show.
Thank you, John.
And
so
please do come back next time.
Yeah, with my pleasure.